Hi, welcome to this Business Leader Breakthroughs Minisode, where we highlight the best bits of a previous show episode. If you enjoy these quick insights and want to check out the full episode, you'll find the link in the show notes. Or go to thebreakthrough.co. Now let the breakthroughs begin. Hi there, I'm Ryan Castle and I'm joined here by my business partner, Dr. Mike Ashby. Mike, what are you focused on in today's podcast?
I've been thinking about how we get our head, our hearts and our hands all working on the same thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just something I've been kind of exploring. Actually, I was on a presentation and was starting to go explore this kind of idea of identity and ended up going in the middle of it thinking, actually there's three parts to it, isn't there? There's the kind of the way we think, there's how we feel, and there's what we do. Mm. And it's relevant, I think, because, like most of us, we've had times when we've struggled to get engagement or struggled to get traction. And we've worked with lots and lots of business owners who report that, I can sort of, it just feels like we're wading through molasses, walking through melted marshmallow as we try and make stuff happen, but we can't seem to get there. And I think that's a reasonably common thing. Sure. We just get a bit stale, we get a bit stuck. Mm-hmm.
There's almost a sense of kind of trying to muddle through. We get to a new year, we come back from a holiday, and we're like, what are we going to do this year? Yeah. And often the inspiration or lack thereof is, how do we do 5% more sales this year? And it doesn't engage the heart. No. We're not very excited about it. It just feels like, how are we going to keep squeezing the same old lemon that feels like most of the juice is gone? How are we going to keep going with that? So that muddling through, we find it common for people to be in that zone. It doesn't work. No. So what do we need to do differently?
Well, I think that's where we really need to kind of think about this head, heart and hand stuff, and when I think about this now, I think we've always talked about how ideas come first, and the way we think drives what we do, and what we do drives what we get. I've been kind of thinking about, in that idea stage, what's going on in there, and I've been really interested in the concept of identity, which goes to who we are, because it's a whole lot easier to make change and perform when what we're trying to do is consistent with our identity. So for me, the new world of thinking, if you like, is about what is our intention? What is it that we're trying? Let's get really clear about, and that's a logical, rational kind of thinking thing that we've got to do.
Sure.
So that's our intention. But the next bit is, what's our identity? Where does our heart take us? I think about that in the context of, at one level, simple piece of research that says, why do people return wallets when they find a wallet on the ground and they take it to the local police station? The only common thing is, that's what people like me do. I'm the kind of person who returns wallets. So that's what I mean by identity, and that's really about the heart piece. Yeah. And then the action is the hands, and that's what follows. Interestingly, the more we practice that action, the more we kind of reinforce that identity and that intention, the stronger it becomes until it becomes... So how do you create identity? Actually, it's in part through action. Repeated action, repetition, learning, all of that stuff feeds straight into your identity. So that intention, identity, action piece becomes one of those kind of nice reinforcing, you get vicious cycles. This is a virtuous cycle, guided by the intention. But I think probably the easiest thing to do is the action and the identity piece can become a bit default. So it needs to be guided by rethinking, regularly rethinking, recasting. But I think that's what great performance looks like, and what improvement looks like when we've got a great idea, when our heart is in it, we're all in, as we talked about last time, and our hands kind of follow that. Yeah. So we practice. We do stuff that reinforces that, and we do it over and over again.
And we know where it falls over is that if any one of those components is missing, you can have great work on two of them, but if you don't have the third, it just doesn't work. So Absolutely. We need the head, the hands, and the heart.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Yeah. So here's a little bit of a framework of how you might think about this for yourself. So start with, think about what you want. Like, what is your big idea? What is the thing you want to get going? Really zero in on that thing, and it's got to be something that resonates with you. It's got to have that heart component to what's in there. So think about that, and then the hands. What are the actions we're actually going to go and take to make that happen? And we've just got to make sure that our actions, what we're doing, is lined up with our heart and our head as well. So get clear, make sure it's aligned with your heart, and then let's go and take some real action.
Yeah.
So that really is the framework to make this stuff happen. We can have the very best idea in the world and the best intention, but we've got to get that hands bit working to really make it come to life.
What you can do as people watching and listening to this is think about, what's the vision for the business? And it needs to be a great big idea. It needs to be something that excites you, that captures your imagination, but also resonates for you at a heart level.
We see lots of owners talk about profit aspirations or turnover aspirations, and you're like, hey, look, that's kind of cool, and look, you do need those in your business, but you turn around and talk to your team about those, and they're kind of probably going to glaze over. Unless they're the CFO, but they might be quite interested. But the rest of the team wants to know, why are we doing what we're doing? And that's I think it's a really important point.
And that goes right to the heart.
Of course it does. It's the huge part.
It's got to resonate with them. So there's the vision piece, the personal goals, because it's really important in our philosophy that we have this balance, not just because it's a nice thing to have, but actually we know that personal well-being drives business success, because that's about energy, that's about mental space. And I suppose that third thing is around being clear about what you're not going to do anymore. Because we know that if we try and add this on top of everything else, it's just too much and you won't get to it. So one of the first things we talk through with people is, how do you create space? How do you create space for something great? It's kind of what you say no to creates the space, and what you say yes to creates your world. But in the first place, I think you've got to do that space. And then the other part, the fourth step, is to identify, what are you going to practice? Because as we said, it's that practice that reinforces, and with that development comes bigger ideas, more passion for what we're doing, bigger actions, just all keeps going. That's what momentum looks like.
And we talk a lot with our members about repetition is the mother of skill. Bruce Lee, the famous martial artist, said once, I'm never afraid of a man who's done 10,000 kicks, but I'm very afraid of the man that's done one kick 10,000 times. And I think it's the same thing here. Get clear on what it is you want to get done, make sure it's aligned with your heart, and then get really, really good at that thing that you're trying to get nailed.
That kind of deliberate practice, that same kick over and over and over again until you are perfect. And you never are, because the better you get, the more you know that you need to do. And that's that kind of
absolutely
endless improvement.
There's a few do's and don'ts for our audience. What should we be doing? Look, I think we talked a lot about the value of sharing your vision with the team. It's great because they get aligned and they're there to support you. I think the other thing is that public declaration of your vision. Do the practice until it becomes part of your identity. Then let that identity fuel even bigger dreams. I think that's a powerful thing. So people that are out there going, hey Mike, I love what you're saying. I totally identify with the head, the heart and the hands action. What would be something that they really should avoid? Where could they fall off the wagon with this?
Yeah, look, I think the worst thing you can do is sell yourself short. Just make it a little idea, make it a little improvement, as opposed to going all in, as we talked about last time, and setting yourself something that excites you and scares you at the same time. That's the perfect measure. But it is that kind of, let's conceive of something that we can't imagine achieving, but that resonates. If it's just a kind of big number and your heart's not in it, then it's not gonna do anything. But something big that stretches your imagination, that engages your heart, that goes, yeah, I like that idea. So it doesn't matter why. The thing is, it's from the heart, and only you have to justify that, and you don't even have. It's just what you want, and then the actions follow.
What's the first thing that people need to go and do? Great ideas. I know what I should avoid, which is not being aligned with my heart. What's the first action? What do people go and make happen?
Look, I think it's about thinking about what do you want for yourself. That point about how you can create something that is meaningful to you and that can serve others. I think it comes to that. But I think it's starting with a commitment to give yourself time and space to let your imagination run and to see where your heart goes with that.
Let's stop muddling through, people. Let's get out there and make it happen.